welcome to this week's episode. Today we are talking about everybody's favorite topic. Should I raise my prices, right?
And the answer is almost always yes.
Well, yeah.
Almost always yes.
Right. Do I want to raise my prices? No. Should I raise my prices? Possibly. And probably, actually, this year. So why is this a topic that we're talking about since this is a marketing podcast?
Because price is one of the 4 Ps.
Price is one of the 4 Ps. So if you look in a marketing textbook, you're going to find place, product, promotion, and price. And almost every marketing person that you talk to is going to spend 99% of their time talking about promotion. But there actually is more to marketing than just promotion, right?
Oh boy, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, that's one of the things that differentiates ABCI from a lot of the other marketing agencies and things like that, is that we spend just as much time talking about your list, your offer, and your presentation. Those are the 3 things we talk about when we do a campaign. There's a P for everything. But honestly, if you don't get the first 3 right, the 4th doesn't matter, because you can promote the heck out of something if it's not a good product, if it's not in a good place, if it's not a good price.
You're SOL.
You're whistling in the graveyard or whistling in the dark or whatever. And
short on luck.
You're a tree falling in the forest. Is there any other cliches we can throw in here? With no one there to hear.
That's right.
All right. So in the aviation industry, of course, the products and services that we offer are dependent on our cost of parts, our cost of labor, our cost of supplies, overhead,
facilities, everything,
regulatory compliance, and so on. So there's a lot of things that go into our cost of goods sold, is what they call it, or cost of services sold. I guess it's the same idea. But when we have inflation, then that kicks us as bad as it kicks anybody else, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And worse because the products are more expensive.
Right. And
as are the services typically.
Exactly. So we're recording this in June of 2021. And right at this particular moment, we're seeing a pretty evident spike, and a lot of the pundits that you talk to say that inflation is happening or going to happen over the next little while. I don't know if you want to talk about that. You know more about that sort of thing than I do.
Well, I'm not sure I know more than any other by, but what I do know is, other than World War II, our country has never put as much money into the economy as has happened in the last year. And World War II took 15 or more years to recover from.
And they had inflation for 15 years?
And a depression.
Mm-hmm.
And all kinds of things. So what are we looking forward to now? This is $6 trillion, give or take a trillion. And my perspective, I mean, I didn't have a major in macro. However, I was lucky enough to have a presidential economic advisor teaching our class when I went to school, so we were really into it and wrote programs to run on a computer that forecast business, government, and private cycles. And where they all 3 meet down is bad, bad, bad. And when they all 3 meet up, it's outstanding.
So where are we now?
I haven't run a program, and I haven't done that. But with prices going out of control, and that's me talking, nobody else going to tell you that. But if you look around, prices may not be going up, but quantity of the good, like candy bars are getting smaller. I mean,
And prices are going up at the grocery store. Prices are going up at the gas pump. Prices certainly are going up for business services, software, the things that we buy are going up as well. So,
yep.
We are not attorneys, we are not economists, we are not accounting professionals, so disclaimer.
Yeah, this is all just our take
Observation.
our take on observing what's going on.
Okay.
It doesn't look pretty at this point, from my perspective.
So we're expecting that prices are going up and are going to continue to go up on the things that we purchase.
Yes.
Okay. Here's another view of this. This is 12-month inflation projections. This is from the Hamilton Project, which is a function of the Brookings Institution. So if inflation continues as they're projecting through the end of, well, the middle of 2022, they're expecting it to level out, it looks like, around spring of 2022.
That's very conservative.
Right, but it will level out at a higher level than it has been for a while. So either way, inflation going up, not a good thing. If we want to put this into a simpler example, this is a restaurant, so it's not necessarily aviation related, but we were talking with a friend of ours who runs a restaurant in our town.
Yeah.
Our favorite restaurant, and we talk to him all the time, and we were getting into this with him, kind of the back of the napkin conversation,
Yeah,
right?
my question was, how's business? Are you busy? He says, yes, I'm busy, but I'm making less money. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, what do you mean?
Mm-hmm. So what this shows is, you may be up to your pre-pandemic revenue level and still be losing money, right?
Yeah.
So, let's say the monthly take was 30,000. I don't know if these numbers are right. This was just kind of a roughed out idea. But assuming your food costs are 10,000 and your labor costs are 10,000, just to make the math super easy, and then you net 10,000, right? That's pretty simple. 2019, right? Mm-hmm. 2021, you may still be netting 30,000, but your expenses on food have gone up by 50% and gone up on labor by 100%. So then you're spending $35,000 to make $30,000.
This wasn't his estimate. He said, I was looking in QuickBooks. He's a small company, so like us, he uses QuickBooks. Mm-hmm. And he said, I look at last year, I look at this year, I just shake my head.
Right. So the scary thing is you can look around the restaurant and you can see that he is busier than ever. He's got people coming in, people eating, people paying their bills. Everything is going on. It looks really good on the surface, but unless you dig in, unless you know the math, you could be as busy as you've ever been and losing money. And so this is why when we meet with our clients, one of the things that we want to talk about this month in our office hours is how are you doing? How are you really doing?
Yeah.
Are you busy? That's one thing, but are you making your money? Do your numbers look healthy? That's a different question than are you busy?
Yes.
Right. Are your revenues back up to pre-pandemic levels? So this is from a movie with Liam Neeson called Taken. It was a few years ago, but he's sitting there with a bunch of gangsters. And I think he was playing a corrupt cop, that was on the take. And so he was demanding his cut.
And more than what they normally did.
Exactly. So he was negotiating with aggressive negotiations. His take should be bigger. And it's just like, our costs go up, your costs go up. So if you've seen the movie, this is kind of funny. If you haven't seen the movie, bear with us because
Right.
We think it's funny. All right. So what this adds up to is something we don't like, which is raising prices. And so everybody that we talk to when we come to this conclusion is going to say, but I don't want to raise prices. And there are several reasons you don't want to raise prices. You don't want your customers to go to your competitors. You don't want your customers to be unhappy. You don't want to deal with the implications of all that. So what we're going to do next is talk about how to raise prices without incurring the wrath or consequences that you're hoping not to incur, right?
Precisely.
Okay. So we've written a lot of articles over the years about different pricing strategies, and some of them are assuming that you have a low quality product and low pricing. Yep. In the aviation industry, we almost always want to have the highest quality product we can have, or highest quality service we can have, and a fairly high price. So, there are times like with flight schools and things like that where pricing is more sensitive. And you can't always go with premium pricing, but you certainly can be closer to that end of the scale than otherwise, right? You're not the Kmart of the world, if you remember what Kmarts are. The blue light specials, the low price leader, those kinds of things. You don't want to be the discount offering.
And they went out of business, and that was one of the reasons they did, because they were trying to undercut everything.
Right, and it becomes a race to the bottom. If you're cutting your prices and all of your competitors are cutting their prices and everyone's expenses are going up, that's really bad for the industry as a whole.
Much less your company.
Much less your own company, which is what you care about. Okay, so how can you add value? So if you think of this as a scale, you've got price on one side of the scale and you've got value on the other side of the scale. What you need to do is add something to that other side of the scale so that people are understanding that what they're getting is worth more to them now than it was a year ago.
Right.
And in the aviation world, the very most important thing that you can add is convenience, because aviation consumers are far more concerned with convenience than they are with price, for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, and as evidence of that, all of the people go and fly in private now instead of taking airlines, because given it is really not convenient to fly airlines.
Right, and the less convenient it becomes, the less important the price is in the minds of those folks. And you think about business aviation, the entire industry is built around convenience. People who don't value convenience aren't going to be involved in this industry at all. They're just going to fly the airlines or take the Amtrak or whatever,
So you've already got those kinds of people that you're working with. Right.
They are predisposed to want convenience. So some of the things that some of our clients are doing are washing people's cars while they're on a trip. If you're a charter company.
An FBO or charter company.
Exactly. Detailing the plane while it's in for a maintenance service. Pick up and return of aircraft, if you can do that.
Yeah, we know one FBO
As
maintenance
an MRO,
that they will fly out, pick up your airplane, fly it to wherever their nearest facility is, perform the work, fly it back, put it right in the chocks where they got it from with a note on the seat as to what you owe and what was done.
And that's the only reason you know that it's been anywhere, is because there's a logbook entry.
That's right.
Right. So, the more convenient you can make it for people, if you can pick up their dry cleaning, if you can, anything that you can do to add convenience to their life is going to increase the value of your service in their mind and make them less likely to be unhappy.
So whatever your product or service is, you need to think through that to see what you can do to that end.
Put yourself in your customer's shoes and think, while this is going on, what can I do to add convenience to my product or service? Another idea is to add training. So if you have software, if you have a piece of equipment or something along those lines, and you can teach people how to use it better and get more value from your product or service that you're selling them. And you can do this with online webinars, or you can do this with a video, send a video when you ship the product. Show them how to install it, show them how to work it,
Or you can have us create a course for you.
Exactly, or have us create a course for you, so that your customers can become certified in the use of your product, or they can get their people certified so that they are getting the most value out of it. A lot of times with software, people will only use it for one thing, even though it does 10 things. And then they feel like they're paying too much because they're only using 1/10 of its capacity, right? Mm-hmm. So if you can provide training, that really helps people get more value out of your product or service. Another thing is to add consistency. So, if you've got a 31-point checklist that you go through every time you perform a service, that has a higher value than somebody that just does one thing. You're giving them some reassurance that you're looking at these other items as well. And you're providing a higher value or a higher quality service than someone that is just doing an ad hoc. It's different every time you come in, depending on who you get, kind of a scenario. So if you can make your product or your service super consistent and make sure that all of your people are following a checklist, Aviation people love checklists,
Yep.
right? You can offer a better guarantee. So if your product or service is guaranteed for 1 year and your competitors' products and services are only guaranteed for 3 months, you can charge a premium for your product because it's a higher quality. You might take it on the chin if your product really isn't better quality.
But you would know that up front. So.
Exactly. So you need to be careful about, doing any of these things. You have to consider, what really applies to my product or service. How am I going to make this work in a way that's not going to soak me? But for the most part, the people that we have kind of browbeat our clients into offering a guarantee or a better guarantee, none of them have ever really had an expensive problem that came anywhere near the advantage that it made in their sales process.
Right.
So, for the most part, unless you really feel like you have a quality problem, in which case you probably better solve that first, a better guarantee is almost always a good idea.
Yep.
So, price high and justify. That's our saying for the day, right?
Exactly.
And seriously, if you have a healthier company, you can pay your employees more, you can invest in research and development, you can pay your overhead, you can have a rainy day fund, you can do all of those things that keep your company healthy. And that is not a bad thing, right?
Nope.
Right. So price high and justify.
Exactly.
Go make it happen. And go sell more stuff.
America needs the business.
Absolutely. Especially now.
So does the aviation industry.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Stay safe and healthy.